Okay, let me increase the quality. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, now all great. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, 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 guys. Hello, Travel Machine, Khushbu, Mandula, Gaurav, Rishabh, Sylvia, Nithin, Suraj. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And I welcome all of you to this 3 day JavaScript Essential course. I hope all of you are doing good. I hope everyone is safe and sorted. All things are going good. So let me know, guys, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome, welcome all. Welcome, guys. Okay, that's great. Hi, guys. Hi. Okay. So, first things, hello, Bhargav. How are you? All good? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Arc D programmer. I think I know you because of your DP, maybe. Good evening, Burnesh. Good evening, Kashif. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Okay. So I welcome all of you to this 3 day JavaScript essential course where we're going to try to learn some basic DOM manipulation logics of JavaScript. Okay. And you are completely free to enjoy them all, ask all your questions related to JavaScript, and I'll try to solve all of them if possible. And we'll also try to build something out of whatever we're going to learn in the next 3 days. Okay. So good evening, everyone. So first of all, I'll introduce myself, then I'll tell you about the course. Okay, and then we'll be good to start. So some of you, I can see few people are from the previous sessions, from maybe I took essential session maybe around a year back, maybe or 3 months back. So I can see a few familiar names here. Okay, so my name is Saurabh Gupta, and I'm a by profession full stack web developer and app developer, and I also take sessions at Let's Upgrade. Okay, yes, I can see some people know me. Okay, so let me also ask you guys from where you guys are joining. So everyone, please write down your city, country, whatever, wherever you live. Just write down in the chat so that I can know from which part of India or from which part of the world you guys are joining in. Come on, everyone. Can you guys spam that in the chat? From which countries you guys are joining? From which countries? From which cities? From which states you guys are joining? Hyderabad. Okay. Good evening, guys. Good evening, Shreya. Good evening, Parul. India, Bijapur, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Pakistan, India, Surat, Nagpur, Gurgaon, Pune, Pakistan. I can see. Okay. Punjab, Chennai, Karnataka, Chandigarh, Vijayawada, Bhubaneswar, Delhi. That's great. That's great. I can see like literally from all parts of the country, plus some people from outside the country, some people from Pakistan, some people from, I can see here, from Africa. That's really great. That is really great. Okay, so I'm sitting here in Mumbai, everyone, in Mumbai, India. Okay, and I welcome all of you. Okay, now let me also tell you about the course, this 3 day course. What are we going to cover in this, and what are we going to learn, and how are you going to get your certificates, and how you have to give exams, all that. So let's try to cover all that in the next 2 to 3 minutes so that we can have all the other time for the learnings. Russia, that's really great. That's really great. Okay. So now, guys, let's move ahead. So, guys, see, this course is going to be a 3 day essential course. Now, you might know, if you have already attended any kind of essentials, you might know that we used to take 5 day essential. Now we are trying something new. So this is going to be a 3 day essential course, okay, of JavaScript. So there is a registration form in the chat. You guys have to. So for everyone who has filled it, not an issue. For everyone who has not filled it, please go ahead and fill that form. Register yourself for the course. That is the preliminary requirement. If you don't fill it, you won't get the certificate. So you have to go ahead and register yourself for this particular course. So the registration form link is in the chat. Please go ahead and fill it. You can fill it today or tomorrow, doesn't matter, but please fill it. Second thing, every day I'll give you some assignments. So you have to submit those assignments, and you also have to mark your attendance. The attendance link and the assignment submission link will also be in the chat by the end of the session, by end of the every session. So you guys also have to fill it. So three things. First, register yourself. Second, assignment submission and attendance. Third thing, basically enjoying the course. The most important thing, enjoying the course and trying to basically learn everything that I'm going to give you. Okay, these are the three requirements to become a little better in JavaScript in the next 3 days. Is that clear, everyone? Guys, all set? I hope everyone is cleared with this, right? So these are the things that you have to do. And now, guys, let's start with JavaScript DOM manipulation. Okay. Where is the link? You guys can see it is the link is in the chat. Paridhi Agarwal is spamming it in the chat. So please go ahead, guys, and fill it, everyone. Okay. Now, I would also like to talk about. Okay, I can see few people are asking where is the link for registration. Is it? It is in the chat, guys. It is in the chat. You guys can see. Paridhi, can you please pin that link in the chat if possible? Okay, that's great, guys. That's great. Okay. Now, before we move ahead, guys, this is a 3-day JavaScript essential course. Okay. So, if you know a little bit of HTML, CSS, and a little bit of programming fundamentals or JavaScript, that will be really great. If you don't know anything at all, that is also completely fine. You can still attend and enjoy on what we are doing. See, if right now it is giving 404 error, not a issue, because right now I think a lot of people are going on that link. That's why. So try it after some time. Keep the link with you. Try it after some time. Try it after half an hour. Try it after 1 hour. Try it after finishing up the session. You can also try it afterwards. Okay. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. Okay. So now, guys, as this is a JavaScript essential course, okay, that means we are not going to learn everything about JavaScript in this because we only have 3 days. So we're going to try to cover at least the most important and some basic topic of JavaScript to get you started with this. Okay. So if you know any kind of HTML, a little bit of HTML, a little bit of CSS, a little bit of programming and JavaScript, that will be amazing. Then you're completely ready for this. If you don't know these things at all, that is also completely fine. No need to worry because we're going to try to understand everything in the most basic way possible so you'll understand. But a little bit of HTML and CSS will definitely help. Is that clear, everyone? So then, without further ado, let's start. So first of all, let me ask you a question. Do you guys know what is JavaScript, everyone? Do you guys know what is JavaScript? Come on, guys. Let me see some answers in the chat. And yes, see, Paridhi is mentioning, guys, do not copy and paste the link. Click on the link. Directly click on the link. Otherwise, try it after some time. Okay. So, guys, everyone, do you guys know what is JavaScript? How many of you know what is JavaScript? Can we have some answers in the chat before we start? Can we have some answers in the chat? Then I'll let you know. Don't worry. I'm going to completely explain you what is JavaScript. No need to worry at all. So, guys, come on. Give me some answers, everyone. I'm waiting. What is JavaScript? What do you know about it? Front end language. Okay, that's answer. That's a good answer. Yes, a scripting plus a programming language. Correct answer. It's a scripting language. Okay, also correct. Web script language. Kind of correct. Front end language. Yes. Okay, a web designing programming language. I can't say it's wrong. Most used scripting language. Yes, JavaScript is a programming language to make website dynamic. Correct. User side scripting language, client side scripting language used for front end development makes our websites workable and dynamic. Yes, correct. So it is a scripting language. Yes, correct. It is a scripting language which is used both for front end and back end. Yes, that's the correct answer. It is a responsive layer of website. Yes, why not? JavaScript is scripting language. Yes. So I can see a lot of people are giving answers. So the most common answers are it is a scripting language. It is used for making your web page dynamic. It can be also used for front end and back end. Okay. Yes, all of them are correct. So now then, let's try to understand what exactly is JavaScript and let's pick out a proper definition for this so that everyone, right, not only the people who know about it, for everyone who are here in the lecture can know what exactly is JavaScript. Okay, guys, so let's move ahead. So now see, I'm going to assume that you already know HTML and CSS. Okay, so now see, guys, we have HTML and CSS. HTML is basically used to create the elements that you see, right? For example, let me mention it. So why do we use HTML? So HTML is basically used to create components on web. Now, when I say components, that basically means what? That basically means creating text, images, audio, video, all that stuff. All the content that you see on the web page is created using HTML. Okay. So basically, this language is completely responsible for content creation. Tables, forms, fields, every element that you see is created mostly using HTML. Then you also have CSS, one of the most important languages again if you're working in web designing or development. That does what? That basically helps you to style the content. So you create a content. Now you want to give that content a height, a width, a color, a shape, a size. You want to move it, align it, adjust it, basically structure a website, make your content look good, make your web page look good. For that purpose, you use CSS. Now I'm assuming that you know this, but I just gave you a definition for all the people who don't know. So HTML is basically for the creation of content. CSS is basically used to style those content, to give size, to align them, adjust them so that everything looks good. Okay, this is what HTML and CSS do. Then we also have something called as JavaScript. This is actually considered as the third most important layer of web designing or web development, or these three are considered as the building blocks of world wide web, that is your internet. HTML, CSS and JavaScript are the three building blocks of your world wide web. We know what HTML does, we know what CSS does. Now it's time to understand what exactly is JavaScript. Now, see, guys, let's go from some basic definition and let's actually understand what exactly is JavaScript. So, first of all, as you guys gave answer, JavaScript is a scripting language slash programming language. That means very basic. It is like any other language in the world, like C, C++. It has all the constructs like variables, loops, conditions, all that stuff. Okay, but then if we have all the languages like C, C++, and all that, why do we have JavaScript? Like, why do we have another programming language? So guys, let's talk about it. Let's try to understand why do we have JavaScript, what is the requirement of it, what are the uses, and what makes JavaScript different from any other programming language. My screen is black. Someone is mentioning my screen. Guys, can you guys see my screen? I'm also watching on YouTube. I can see it. So everyone, please confirm me once. Can you guys see my screen? I can see some people mentioning your screen is black. Everyone, please let me know, guys. Everyone in the chat. My screen is not visible. Is there an issue? Guys, please tell me. Vilas is mentioned. Is it visible or not? Yes, I'm not understanding. It is visible. Okay, that's great. That's good. Okay, Khushbu is answering. Khushbu is asking a very good question. What is the difference between a scripting language and a programming language? See, Khushbu. First thing is they are quietly like similar. They are completely similar, almost similar. You can say like 95 to 99% similar. The only difference that people consider is when a language is compiled, we consider it as a programming language. When it is interpreted, we consider it as a scripting language. That is the difference that people mention basically. When like a C is a compiler based language. C++ is a compiler based language. That's why they are considered as a programming language. Python, JavaScript, they are considered a scripting language because they are interpreter based languages. That's what you can say. But mostly understand that there is no very, what do you say, specific difference. They are kind of similar. That's why I always mention JavaScript is a scripting slash programming language. Almost same. So now guys, see, first of all, if I mention that JS is a programming language, fine, completely fine. That means it's going to have all the basic programming constructs like variables, loop, conditions, and all of that stuff. But then why do we have it? Why? What was the need of the invention of JavaScript if we have C, C++ as our programming language? So guys, understand that when the first web browser was created and when people started creating web pages with using HTML and CSS, by using HTML and CSS, at that time there was a requirement of programming language that can work on the browser. At that time there was a requirement of a programming language that can work on a browser, and that is why JavaScript was created, a programming language for the browser. Is that clear? C++ cannot work on the browser. C works with C compiler. C++ also works with the C++ or the C compiler. So we needed a language at that time. We needed a language that can work on the browser. And that's why Netscape, a company called it Netscape, which also created the first browser, Netscape Navigator, they created something called as JavaScript, a programming slash scripting language for the browser, which runs inside the browser. Is that clear, guys? This is why we have created. It has all the basic programming constructs like variables, conditions, loops, arrays, all that stuff. Ashish, can you please stop spamming the chat, buddy? एक फिक्स्ड एंट्री पॉइंट होता है वेर स्क्रिप्टिंग लैंग्वेज को कहीं भी यूज कर सकते हैं. ऑल्सो करेक्ट. व्हाई नॉट? राइट. सो अभी तो हमको उसमें वहां पे हमको कंपाइलर लगता है ना, ताकि हम एट द एंड एक ही बार उसको एग्जीक्यूट कर सके. मीनिंग तो वही हो गई ना, हमको कंपाइलर तभी लगता है जब हमको एक बार में सारा चीज एग्जीक्यूट करना होता है ना, नहीं तो इंटरप्रेटर की हमको जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी. राइट आशीष? So guys, if you know any kind of answers, please don't spam the chat. Even if you write it once, I see it, so don't worry. Okay, everyone. So basically, JS was created as a programming language for the browser. But now, why do we need a programming language for the browser? So understand, guys, JS was not limited as a only a programming language. The main intention of creating JS was it is a DOM manipulation language. This is the main work of JS. It is basically a DOM manipulation language. Now, before we move ahead, do you guys know what is DOM, guys? Everyone, do you know what is DOM? Come on, guys, tell me. Everyone, do you guys know what is DOM? All the people, everyone, come on, tell me so that I can explain you what is DOM. So JavaScript is a scripting slash programming language, but that is not the main intention. The main intention of JavaScript was it was created as a DOM manipulation language. Now, do you guys know what is DOM? Come on, tell me. Till the time I'll open one place where I can explain you what exactly is DOM. Yes, that's a correct answer, Anuradha. Document object model. And for all the people who are saying no, don't worry. Let's go. Let me open a Jamboard. Okay. And let's go and let's try to understand. Now, see, guys, what exactly is DOM? It is nothing. It's actually very easy to understand. The definition of DOM is the tree structure of your HTML document is what you consider as DOM. The tree structure of your HTML document. Now let's try to understand it in deep. Okay. So now let's create a very basic HTML code, right? Or let's create a very basic HTML file. No need to create a file. Let's create a very basic HTML code. So how do you write HTML, guys? You write like this, right? HTML. Then inside HTML you have head, right? Slash head. And then inside HTML you also have body, then slash body, and then after that you end up your HTML, correct? And inside head you also have title, right? Now I'm writing it on Notepad. Don't worry. We're going to use VS Code in some time. Right now, just for explanation, I'm writing it on Notepad. Then you have body. Inside body, you might have a p tag, right? You might have a div tag, right, guys? This is how your normal HTML documents look like, right? This is how your normal HTML document looks like. Very simple. So you have a HTML. Inside that, you have head, body. Now, this is what you write in code. But when you execute this file on the browser, you see some output, right? You see some output. You don't see this code. You see some kind of output. All the tags that you have written, based on that, something is created. So what actually is happening? So you write HTML code, okay? You write HTML code, and when you execute it on the browser converts your HTML code into a tree. Now, if you read it, can we convert it into a tree? If I read this code, can I convert it into a tree? Can I convert it into a tree? Yes, let's try to convert it. So first off, we have what? We have HTML. Then inside HTML, we have head. And then also inside HTML, we have body. Inside head, we simply have title. Inside body, in this code, we had a P and we also had a div, right? So if I need to convert it into a tree diagram, it will look something like this, right? Simple. If I convert it into a tree diagram, it will look something like this. So basically, this is what you call as a DOM, or also document object model. The tree structure of your HTML code is considered as DOM, document object model. So your browser internally converts your code into a tree and then reads that tree and generates the output for you. By reading that tree, it understands which element is inside which element, where should I place some other element, where should I place this element. Browser understands it by reading this tree. Now that tree doesn't look like this. Don't worry, it is just interpretation. The tree is internal, so we don't know how it looks like. But this is what happens. Your HTML code is converted into a tree, and then browser reads that tree to create the output for you. That is what happens. And this tree is considered or called as DOM, document object model, where every element or every tag that you created is considered as an object. This P is an object, this div is an object, this body is an object, head is an object. Everything is basically an object. or an element, whatever you like to call it. So this is what we call as document object model, guys. Is that clear, everyone? Are we clear with what is DOM? The tree structure of your HTML document. That's all. That's it. That's all what DOM is. Now, let's go back to the definition. That was JS is a DOM manipulation language. Okay, that means JS is a language has the ability to manipulate the DOM. That means if JS is basically used to manipulate this tree. That means JS can actually add any element in the tree, remove any element from the tree, manipulate or change content of any element in the tree, manipulate or change color, manipulate or change attribute. JS can completely handle and manipulate this tree dynamically. Now, when I say dynamically, what does it mean? It means, see, normally if I want to add something in the tree, first I have to go into my HTML code and write something. Then I have to save it. Then I have to refresh my browser. Then only my tree will update. Then only my output will update. But JS can do it dynamically. I can write some JS code that can actually dynamically add or remove or manipulate any element in the tree, and directly my output will be changed without doing anything in the HTML code. That's why we call it, it does it dynamically. Is it cleared, guys? So JS is basically a DOM manipulation language. And this was the main requirement of creating JS. Because programming languages we already had. We had C, we had C++. But we need a language that can manipulate my DOM. All said, guys? This was the initial intention of creating JavaScript. But while manipulating DOM, we also need some kind of programming support. That's why we have all the programming constructs like variables, loops, conditions. We also need them. That's why JS was created as a simple programming language, but also DOM manipulation language. So basically, it's a combination of both. All cleared, guys? Are we cleared with what is the meaning of DOM manipulation? Now, I'll give you an example. For example, think of it like this. You go on some site, right? You go on some site, you click on a button, and suddenly a pop-up appears. Now that pop-up was not there. You saw it. You loaded a site, that pop-up was not there, and you clicked somewhere, and that pop-up appeared. So from where did that element coming? From where is that element coming? It was not there till now. Something might have created it. Something might have generated it. That is basically JS. No one is sitting behind the code, right? Okay, this guy is clicking the button. Let me just write the code to generate the pop-up. No, it is getting generated dynamically with the help of JavaScript. Why to manipulate? This is the example. You see sliders, right? For example, you go on flipkart.com or some site. You click on button, image moves. You click on button, image moves. Who is doing that? JS. Removing one image, putting other image. Understanding the point? You click on some button, some number changes. Who is doing that? All of that is done using JavaScript. This is what DOM manipulation is. You can only see the output changing, but it's actually manipulating the tree. And since you're manipulating the tree, your output is getting manipulated. So all of the dynamicness, all of the functionalities, all of the interactions that you do on a web page is mostly the responsibility of JavaScript. It's basically related to DOM manipulation only. For example, let's say we go on a sites like Geeks for Geeks. You might know this site, right? If you're a programmer, you might know this sites. Now see, when you scroll for some time, after some time, see suddenly, I hope it will appear now. It normally appears. Come on, please appear. Okay. Let me click on this button. Let's say sign in. See, suddenly a block appears. It was not there. So who generated this block? Who created this block? Or who basically made this block appear? JS. Right? In my DOM tree, this was not there. In my DOM tree, only these things were there. That's why I can see this as output. But when I click on this new element is added into the tree and I can see the changed output. So everything like this is done using JS. I hope every new people are getting cleared with this. Right? So this was the main intention of creating JS in the previous time. Okay. A simple programming language. And also the main intention was we needed a DOM manipulation language. And that's why we have something called as JavaScript. Now in the next 3 days, we are going to see all about DOM manipulation, all about how to add element to the tree, all about how to remove elements from the tree, all about how to manipulate the elements in the tree. Is that clear? But before we move ahead to that, I would also like to explain you a few more things, because I have seen few people giving some new definitions. Okay. So I'm going to give you some what do you say, new modern answers of what is JS. So guys, see, now in 2009, now focus on this, right guys, focus on this. In 2009, a person named Randall thought that if JS can also work like a programming language, if JS has all the features of a programming language, right, why to only limit it to the browser? Because till 2009, JS was only working inside the browser as a DOM manipulation language, right? So he thought if JS has all the programming features, why not we pull it outside and make it a normal general purpose language so that it can be used anywhere, not only for DOM manipulation. So in 2009, a person named Randall created something called as Node.js, which is simply like a C compiler. Just like you have C compiler to write and execute C, Node.js is basically a running environment of JavaScript. Now, by default, the running environment of JavaScript is only browser. JavaScript can only run inside the browser, not outside that. So in 2009, a person named Randall created something called as Node.js, which is not a programming language, not a framework. It is simply a JS runtime. That means it's like a C compiler. It is basically a JavaScript compiler and executor, a JavaScript runtime, an environment where JavaScript can run. So it's a software which you can install in your PC, and now you can run JavaScript anywhere in your PC. That means now it is outside the browser. And if it is outside the browser, you can use it like a normal programming language. And because of that, now you can write machine learning code. Now you can write drone code, all that stuff. Now you can write server side code, you can create backends, you can create APIs, all of that using JavaScript. So till 2009, JS was only this. That's why it was also called as a simple client side language. Some people answered this right. JS is a client side scripting language. Why I'm doing spelling mistakes today? JS is a client side scripting language. It was called as client side scripting language because it was only working in the PC's browser. That's all. But now it's no more a client-side scripting language. Now it's much more than that. Now you can mention JavaScript is a general purpose, multi-purpose programming language. Okay, it is also a client-side and a server-side language. React.js is a framework, Akshay. It is a framework made out of JS. So internally it's all JS only, but it's like an abstracted layer where you can what do you say, have a lot of inbuilt functions, inbuilt functionalities, a lot of pre-built libraries that you can use to directly create big projects. Yes, this 3-day series is full of JavaScript only. So guys, I hope you understood the base concept of what is JavaScript now. And I hope in future, if someone asks what is JavaScript, you can give a confident answer. What exactly is JavaScript? Okay, so initially it was created only for this purpose, but now with the help of Node.js, it's multi-purpose. It can do anything. It's almost doing anything now. Okay, but our main focus for the next 3 days is to only learn this, the DOM manipulation. That's all. We are not going to move ahead to this or something like that. We are focusing on this only, step by step. In future, we are also going to learn this, so don't worry. So what is Express.js and Angular? Angular is also a framework of JavaScript. Express is like a third-party library which is also made in JavaScript. So they are all frameworks and libraries of JavaScript. Understand, JavaScript is the language. Okay, Express, Angular, React, all of these are frameworks made using JavaScript. Right? So that is what it is. Okay. So guys, now let's move ahead. So guys, see, we are only focusing on DOM manipulation. That means we are only focusing on client-side JavaScript. That means our JavaScript will run inside the browser. Okay. So for the next 3 days, we are not going to talk about Node.js or server-side JavaScript. We are only talking about the DOM manipulation and the client-side JavaScript. That's all. Node.js is also JS library. No, it's not a library. It's a runtime. It's a environment of JavaScript. Okay. Okay, guys. So now then, let's move ahead, everyone. And since we are only going to deal with client-side JavaScript in the next 3 days, no need to worry about Node.js. But you can ask doubts related to that. I will be happy to answer doubts related to Node.js, Express, React. Totally fine. I'll answer you everything. Okay. Can we use JavaScript code in? Why not, Nishu? Yes, we're going to use that. So guys, as my editor, I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code. If you're new, you can simply download it. So you can just go here and just search for Visual Studio Code, or just search for VS Code. That's also fine. That's a short form. Okay, just search for that. You'll get this first link. Just go on that link. Okay, and just do this. Now in my case, my PC is Windows, so I'll just do download for Windows. You can basically download it for Linux, Mac, and it will just download like a normal software. Double click, install it, and once you install it, you'll get something like this. One more thing, guys, I'm using VS Code. You can use anything. You can use Sublime Text if you're familiar with that. You can use brackets. You can use Atom. You can use PHP Storm, WebStorm. You can use whatever you want. It's totally up to you. VS Code is right now one of the most famous editors. It's really good. It's really cool. So I'm going to use this. Okay, everyone. Difference between JS and Java. See, it's like asking difference between Java and C sharp. It's like asking difference between Java and C. All of them are programming languages. I can use Java and JS for the same kind of purpose. It's just, it's my preference what I'm going to use. Both of them are programming languages. Now, before 2009, Java was a multi-purpose programming language. JS was only inside the browser working with DOM manipulation. Now that JavaScript is out, it can also do what Java does. Data structures, you can write data structure code, you can write machine learning code, you can write algorithms, you can create APIs. So they are just two different languages. That's the difference. You can achieve a lot of things in both of them. What you can do in Java nowadays, you can also do it in JavaScript. So the difference basically is they are just two different programming languages, multi-purpose programming languages. But there are few things that Java does that JS cannot do, but there are few things that JS does that Java cannot do, like DOM manipulation. No one can do DOM manipulation, only JavaScript. What is the compiler of JS in VS Code? We are not going to run JavaScript in VS Code. We're going to run it in the browser. As I said, there are only two environments, either the browser or Node.js. So right now, we're going to focus on browser-based JS. We're going to run our JavaScript inside the browser. Yes, yes, Prabhu. Anything is fine, guys. Just don't use Notepad. Otherwise, everything is fine. Just don't use Notepad. Okay? Cool. Now, guys, one more thing. See, so right now, we are focusing on writing JavaScript for the browser. That means we are going to run our JS in the browser. So if you want to run your JS, or if you're writing browser-based JavaScript, you also need to create a HTML page. You cannot write your JavaScript code. You cannot write DOM manipulation code if you don't have the DOM. So that's why you also have to create your HTML file as well. And JavaScript will work with or for that HTML. Is that clear? Can I use Atom? Yes, totally fine. Totally fine. Okay, guys. So now then, let me create a folder on desktop. Okay, let me create a folder on desktop. So let me write js-ess. Okay, and let's open this folder in VS Code. So file, open folder, and just go on desktop, and here we go, js-ess. And now my folder is opened. Okay, cool. Now then, everyone, let's move ahead. My folder is open. Now we can go ahead and create our files. Okay, so guys, let's start. So the first thing that you need to create is a simple HTML file. So let me call it index.html. Okay, as I said, right now we are working for DOM manipulation. Right now we are working with JavaScript that will run inside the browser. So you need a HTML file. Your JavaScript file will work with the HTML file, and then only browser will execute it. That's why you need a HTML file. Is that clear, guys? Everyone? So first, create the HTML file, write the basic HTML code as well. I'm hoping that you guys already know HTML, so I don't have to explain it to you. Okay, right now we don't need this meta tags, so let me remove it. And here we go. We have our basic HTML. And let's write JS intro. Okay, guys? Now, to start with JavaScript, there are two ways. To start with JavaScript with HTML, there are two ways. Okay, one way is inside your body, below every element. Now say, now you know, if you know HTML, you know that you're going to create a lot of HTML elements here, like div, paragraphs, images, a lot of things. You can name it anything. You can name it anything, Satish. I just named it index.html because that's my habit. I create a lot of projects and I always name my first page as index.html. Now there is a reason behind it. Server understands it like that. But yeah, mostly I name my first file as index.html. See, guys, right now our focus is not HTML, but I'm still trying to answer. So meta tags are like some kind of descriptive tags. You basically what do you say, store and display some extra information related to your web page using meta tags. Right now we are not launching or doing that stuff, so we don't need meta tags. Okay. Okay, guys. So now let's move ahead. Now there are two ways to start writing JS for the DOM, for the HTML, for the browser. Okay, and I'm going to be showing you the first way. So the first way is below all your HTML code. Let's say you have a lot of HTML code here. Like let's say you have a p tag, you have a div tag, and a whole bunch of tags. Okay, so at the end, always at the end, below all the HTML, but inside the body, create a tag called as script. Okay, and now inside the script tag, let me also just write like this: all HTML on top. Just a simple comment at the end. Okay, so all HTML will be on top, and below everything there will be a script tag. Okay, and now inside the script tag area, you are good to go. You're good to write all your JS. Is that the rule to save first page indexer? It's not a rule, but it's a good practice. It's not a rule, it's a good practice. Because when you launch your site, you might have thousands of HTML pages, but you want the server to consider which one to run first. So normally we name it index. Is that clear, Mohammed? So it's not about a rule, it's about a good practice. It's about what your server understands. You can also configure the server to understand something else, but by default, servers understand index as their main page. That's why it's a good practice to name your first page as index. In this case, I can name it anything because I'm just doing for practice purpose, right? So, guys, this is the area where you can start writing JavaScript. Okay, so first of all, guys, let's go ahead and let's run this page. So I'm just going to see, I'm going to do this. I'm not using any server here. So right click, copy the path, just go in your favorite browser. So here my YouTube is open. Let me just get one more tab. Here we go, and just paste it here and run it. See, right now there's nothing. Totally fine, not bad, right? There is nothing. Let's write some HTML just for some beauty purposes. So P, or let me just put an H1 here, or H3. That will be fine. H3. Hello, everyone. Now you can see. Oh, come on. Here we go. So you can see it, it's there, it's working, all of that. So what is the difference between frameworks and library, framework and ID? What exactly framework is? A down since long time, please do explain. Okay, Logeshwaran, don't worry, buddy. At the end of today's session, I'm going to explain all of this to you. Okay? Just remind me at the end. If I'm closing the session, if I forget about this, just spam something in the chat so that I can see your name. I'll answer you. Okay, don't worry. At the end of today's session, definitely I'm going to answer this. I know it's quietly asked question. Okay, and it needs a lot of time to understand all of this, but I'll tell you, don't worry. Okay, guys. So let's go now, everyone. Let's go. Now, perform DOM manipulation, JavaScript or the browser already provides you with a lot of inbuilt functionalities and objects. It's like, see, in C programming language, that printf, scanf, all of that is already provided to you to do some basic things, right? In programming languages, a lot of things is already provided to you to do a lot of basic things. Okay, just like that, JS is mainly intending to manipulate the DOM, correct? So a lot of inbuilt objects and functionalities are already provided to you in JavaScript so that you can start manipulating the DOM. Okay, and the first one that I would like to teach you is this. See, everyone, now on your Chrome or in any browser you are, right click and click on inspect. Now see, the first section that you see here is your element section, which basically shows your HTML tree. This is your DOM tree. You can think of it like that. This is your DOM tree, your HTML code. Okay. This is basically your DOM tree, something like that. So this is section, if you're familiar with HTML and CSS, this section you already know. So I'm not going to talk a lot about this. But the most important thing here is I'm going to talk about the next section. That is this console. Now this console is like the command prompt of the browser. Think of it like this. It does a lot of things. It shows errors in your site. If you're unable to load something, if there is any problem with your web page, it shows all that. Plus, you can also access this area using JavaScript. You can work on this area using JavaScript. And the object that JavaScript provides you with so that you can work on this area is something called as console. Console is an inbuilt object. That means I'm not doing anything, it's directly available. Okay, so console is an inbuilt JavaScript object. This object helps you to work with this area, which is called as console. Okay, that object has a function called as log. So console.log, and then you can write whatever you want here, like hello guys. Okay, save this code, refresh and see what's happening. You can print anything in the console, just like you have C, right? You write C language, then you execute it. So basically a console opens where you can see your output. This is what it is. It is the console of the browser. Okay, so you can access this area using JavaScript and you can print anything you want. So console.log, hello guys. So console is one of the inbuilt objects that is like one of the most used objects available. We use it to do anything in the console. So console object has a function called as log that is used to print anything. So console.log, hello guys, and you guys see I'm logging a message here. I'm putting a message. Now you might ask, sir, why not here? Why here? Don't worry. We're also going to see how to do something here. But right now, this was important because a lot of times you want to print something and see it without harming your web page. Because see, this white area is going to contain your elements, your divs, your images, a good looking web page. And just to print something, you don't want to harm that design, right? So you want to print something and see something, but you don't want to harm your design. For that purpose, you have this console object. You can print something here without actually harming your design. But don't worry, I'll show you how to print something here as well using JavaScript. Don't worry about that. Okay, is that cleared? When Harsh, okay, what is index HTML 17? See, this means to print this output on which line this code is written. So it is written on index.html line number 17. Here you go, see line number 17 in index.html. This is what it means. From where this output is coming? It is coming from index.html line number 17. Is it clear, Harsh? Okay, guys. So now let's move ahead. And don't worry, we're going to use it a lot. We are going to use it a lot. Okay. For now, let's comment it. And now let's talk about the most important thing that we are here. Okay. About DOM manipulation. So now, guys, you know now what is DOM manipulation. DOM manipulation is basically manipulation of the tree. But now, if you want to manipulate that tree, first you need to access that tree. If you cannot access the tree, how can you manipulate it? So now, to access the tree, JavaScript also gives you an inbuilt object, and that inbuilt object is one of the most important object, and that is called as document. Is that clear, everyone? Document is the inbuilt object that helps you access the tree. Actually, this is the tree. Document is your tree. To show you that, let me console log dot this one. Just console log dot the document and you'll see what it is giving you. Let's see what is document giving us. See that, guys? Here we go. It gives you the whole tree. See that, everyone? It is simply giving you the whole tree, the whole HTML tree. Can you please block this spammer? Paridhi, can you please block him? Please, can you do that? Can you please block this user? Okay, guys. So now let's move ahead. So you saw that, right? So document is the object that JavaScript provides you to actually manipulate or access the tree. And you can see, as I just printed that document, you can see what it is giving me. It is giving me the whole HTML tree. Is that clear, everyone? And this is the object that we are going to use to actually start accessing the elements and manipulating the element. Is that clear, everyone? This is the object. Document is the object that we're going to use to access the element and manipulate the element. Every element that you create in your HTML file is stored under this document object. This is your tree, guys. We talked about that, right? Remember that DOM tree, the HTML, the tree structure of your HTML document. This object is holding that tree. And we're going to use this object to access any element in that tree and manipulate it. Right? DOM manipulation. So this is the object that we're going to use to manipulate the DOM. So guys, then let's start learning about DOM manipulation. Now see, guys, we only have 3 days, so we can't go like in very deep of JavaScript, but we'll see how much we can do in this next 3 days. Okay, guys. So let's go, everyone. Let's go. So now let's say now let me just create few things like h3. Then let's create a p like hello, something like that. Then let's also create a h1 of let's say Thor. Then let's also create a div, right? Inside that, let's just write just a regular div. Now I have a lot of elements, right? I have a lot of elements, and let me also print that document so that we can see what's going on with that. Okay, here we go. Now see guys, this is my HTML document, right? This is my HTML document, and now see what is this document giving me. See that everyone, it is giving me all the elements. It is holding the whole tree. It is holding the whole DOM tree. That means I can use this document object to access any element. I can access this h3, I can access this p, I can access this h1, I can access this div, and I can manipulate them. I can manipulate them. I can change their content. I can change their CSS. I can change their attribute. I can do whatever I want. This is what we call as DOM manipulation. Is that clear, guys? Should we start then? Understanding till now, guys? So see, this document object is the object that is holding your tree, and I can show you. I printed it, and see, it is printing the whole tree, which is holding all the elements. And now, with the help of that, I can access any element and I can manipulate it. So guys, are we ready? Can we move ahead? Can we see how to manipulate? Let's try to manipulate something out of it. Everyone, are we ready? Can we go ahead? Please tell me, guys. Should we do it? Okay. So now then, let's go. So first thing that we have to understand is, now our document is having a lot of elements. How to access one of it? Let's say I want to manipulate this P. How to access it? Let's say I want to manipulate this H1. How to access it first? Like if you know CSS, you know, right? To apply CSS to an element, first thing you need to do is you have to select it. You have to select it either by class name or tag name or by ID, right? You have a lot of elements. You need to apply CSS on a particular element. You need to select it. So now, first I need to learn how to select the element. If I want to work on that element, how to select it? It's very simple. So let's go. So document object has a function called as query selector, in which you can pass your tag name. So let's say I pass P. That's it. So from the document, select the P element. From the document, select the P element for me, please. And now let's see what it is doing. Is it giving me the P element? So I'm just logging it. I'm just printing. Okay, print from the document. I'm selecting the P element. Let's see what it is giving me. Let's see, guys. And here we go. Can you see that? It is giving me back the P element. That's what we wanted. And I can do anything like this. See, I can also select the H1 element. Document dot get element. Sorry, not in this case. I'm not using it. I'm going to teach you this tomorrow. Don't worry, because I want to show you the difference between everything. So query selector H1. So now I'm saying from the document, select the H1 element for me, and see, if I get the P element, I also get the H1 element. And once I get the element, I can start manipulating. I can start changing their content. I can start changing their CSS. I can start changing their attribute. I can do anything I want now. Is that clear, everyone? Guys? So that's how you select element. Now, this is one way, guys. There are multiple ways of selecting an element. There are multiple ways of accessing an element and manipulating it. This is one way. Tomorrow, I'll show you one more way. Day after tomorrow, I'll show you one more way. So don't worry about that. So this is one way called as document.querySelector. Now, I don't have to log it. Now you know what it's doing. So no need to print it. So now this thing is accessing the P element for me. Document.querySelector P is accessing the P element. That means it is accessing this element. Now, let's say I want to change the content inside the P. I want to change the content inside the P. How can I do that? So for that, once you select the element, there's a property called as inner text, which will help you to manipulate that, to basically manipulate the content inside the element. So inner text, that means internal text. Whatever text is inside that, I need to change it. So if you want to change it, just put equal to, and let's say new text. Now see guys, everyone please focus. When I wrote the code, here in my P, I wrote hello. But as soon as JS code will load, it will select that P element and change its internal text to new text. So initially it is hello, but by this code, it will be changed to new text. Let's see if it is happening. Save it. And here we go. See that, guys? New text. As soon as the page loads, I have new text here. In the code, it's still hello, but because of JS, it is changing it to new text. Is that clear, guys? Don't worry, Partna. Don't worry, Pratna. I'm going to show you that. Don't worry. Let's go step by step, one by one. Don't worry at all. Don't worry. Is it cleared, guys? Everyone, are we cleared? Please tell me now. See, Pratna is asking one question. What if we have multiple P elements? So what do you do in CSS? What do we do in CSS, guys, to identify unique elements? We give IDs or classes, right? So let's say I have two P elements. Now query selector will fail in this case. Let's say I have two P elements like hello and bye. Okay. Now I have two P elements. Okay. Now then which P element this will select? Let's see that. Here we go. It only selects the first one. See, only first one is changing to new text, not the second one. That means there is a problem. What if I have two P's and I want to manipulate one of it? How can I do that specifically? Because in this case, you can see by default, query selector only selects the first, not the second, not the third. So for that, you can simply go ahead and give them different classes or different IDs. Like for example, let's say I give it ID of P1 and I give it ID of P2 like that. And now I can go ahead and just mention here hash P1. That means select the element with the ID of P1 and manipulate that. Here we go. New text. Now let me also mention P2. Now see, hello is like that because it was P1. Now see, P2 is getting changed. Simple. So this is one way, cleanest, simplest way. So you can mention IDs or classes in here. Just like you use CSS, just like you use selectors in CSS, we're going to use that here as well. Now guys, see, this is only one way. As I said, there are multiple ways. Don't worry. But right now, this is the simplest way that you guys can understand. Everyone cleared? Guys, cleared with this? So document.query selector can be your go-to function to select any element. Right? Selecting element, and after that, if you want to change the content inside it, just use inner text. But inner text is only one thing. It only changes the textual content. That's why the property name is also inner text. What if I dynamically want to put some HTML inside it? For example, let's say I give this div a class of 1. Okay. Let's say I give this div a class of 1. And now let me comment this. Guys, let's do it from the start now. Let's say I need to select that div. So see guys, whenever you're doing DOM manipulation, first understand what you want to do. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to select this element. It is having a class of 1. What to do? Simply document dot query selector. It's a class, so it's going to be dot 1. Is that clear, everyone? Now, after this, I have got this element. Now, I want to change its internal text, which is initially just a regular div. But let's say I want to change it to Thor or maybe Saurabh. Why not? Dot inner text equals Saurabh. Let's see, guys. It's changing. Here we go. See that? Now the content is Saurabh. Initially, it was just a regular div, but now it's Saurabh. But what if I also want to pass some HTML with my text? I don't want to pass only text. I also want to pass some HTML. What can I do for that? So let's try if it also passes some HTML. So let me put an H1 around it and let's see what it does. Let's see. Nope, it doesn't work. It prints H1 like normal H1. That means it is not treating it like HTML. It is treating it like proper text. So inner text treats everything like plain text. And for that purpose, they have given us one more property called as inner HTML, which understands the difference between text and HTML. Okay, so it treats text as text and HTML as HTML. So it will treat HTML like HTML, H1 like normal H1, and Saurabh like text. And here we go. See that now? Simple, clean. So use inner text when you want to work with only text. Use inner HTML if you have a combination of text and HTML. Is it clear, guys? Everyone? Sir, can you make a calculator project, please? Why not? We can do that. We can definitely do that on the last day. Yes. See, we have 1 hour session every day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You guys tell me, do you guys want me to build a calculator? Everyone? A completely functional calculator with buttons and all that, clicking, cutting, all that. Do you guys want me to do that? Everyone? Will you like that project if I make it live? A complete calculator which works perfectly like a normal hand like calculator with all the buttons, cutting, clear text, division, all those operations, all that. You guys tell me. You guys tell me. अगर कंसोल में भी प्रिंट करना हो तो क्या करेंगे सर? कोई बात नहीं, आप बस इसको ऐसे ही बस कंसोल डॉट लॉग कीजिए और वही सेम चीज प्रिंट कर दीजिए. तो मान लीजिए मुझे अगर ये एलिमेंट प्रिंट करना है तो बस सिंपली मैंने ये चीज ली और यहाँ पे डाल दिया. Here we go. तो मुझे वो एलिमेंट फेच करके देगा. सिंपल. Is that clear? Calculator, I can see a lot of yeses for calculator. Okay, guys, done, stamped, done. On Wednesday, we are going to make a completely functional calculator. As you guys said, as you guys want, we're going to do that. Dynamic, right? We're also dynamic like JavaScript. Whatever you say, we're going to do that. Definitely. Okay. So, guys, but before moving on to that, before moving on to calculator, we need to learn a lot of things. And that's what we are doing. In the next 2 days, that is today and tomorrow, we are going to learn all the things that we need for that calculator first. We have to learn a lot of things. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, so let's focus on learning first. Calculator is definite. We're going to make it on Wednesday. Don't worry. Okay, guys, so I hope we are cleared with this particular simple way of manipulating content. Now, let me also show you how to manipulate CSS. That's very important, right? This is only manipulating content, right? I just selected element and manipulated its textual content, or maybe I manipulated its HTML content. What if I want to manipulate much more than that? What if I want to manipulate CSS? Let's do that. So first of all, let's write some CSS for it, guys. Class 1, let's write some CSS for it. So let me go on top. And guys, see, what I'm teaching you here is only I'm scratching the surface. It's very basic. We only have 3 days. That's why we are covering basics. If you guys want, you can also learn more. So you can go to LetsUpgrade.in, go there and find out our full stack courses where I teach full stack web development. So if you guys want, you can go ahead and check out our courses. It's basically a 6 months course where we start from scratch and end up by building around 15 to 20 projects. So at the end of the course, you are a completely functional full stack developer. So if you guys want, you guys can check that out as well. This is only we are scratching the surface, but I hope you're enjoying this as well. Okay. So guys, let's move ahead now. Let's write some CSS. So dot one, let's give it some kind of height of let's say 200 pixel. Guys, tomorrow's session is going to be very interesting. Tomorrow's session is going to be very interesting because tomorrow I'll be also teaching you events. So everything will happen dynamically. Okay. That's why today is only very basic. Okay. So 200 pixel, 200 pixel. Let's also give it a background color of red. Okay. Here we go. See that? Simple div, simple plain div. Let's try to change the color of this element. Guys, let's try to change the color of this element. Yes, Satesh, Nishu, you guys can go on letsupgrade.in and check out our courses. Everything is mentioned there. The price, EMIs, everything is mentioned there. Don't worry. Everything is mentioned there. Okay, guys. So let's say I have a div like this. And now I want to manipulate its CSS. That means I want to manipulate its color. What if I want to change its color? What can I do for that? Let's see. Can I use JavaScript to change its color? Yes, obviously. So the first thing that you have to do is again, select the element. See guys, you have to keep one thing in your mind. If you want to work on the element, first select that element. It's just like if you want to apply CSS on an element, first select that element. So that's what we have to do. We have to select that element again. So the element is having a class of 1. Let's select it. Again, same thing, document dot query selector dot 1. Selected the element. And now I want to change its CSS property. So how to change CSS property of an element? Very simple. First, select the element. Once you get the element, dot style dot any CSS property you want, any property you want. So let's say I mention background hyphen color. But guys, see one more thing to understand. You can mention any CSS property, but the only problem is in CSS you can write hyphens normally. It's totally fine. But since JavaScript is a programming language, you cannot write hyphens. Why? Because hyphen is simply minus, right? In programming language, hyphen is minus. So this will be a wrong thing. That's why JavaScript says, fine, write your CSS properties, but in a different case. Here, you have to write all your properties in camel casing. That means every other word will start with a capital letter like this. Is that clear, everyone? So background color of CSS becomes background color like this. Start with small, but every other word now will start with caps. This is what a camel casing means, guys. So style.background color, it is exactly same property, but this is the way to write it. Because you cannot write background hyphen color, because hyphen is considered as minus. Okay, and then equal to whatever color you want. Let's say I make it yellow. Now let's see if it is working, guys. Because see now, initially it is red, but by JavaScript I'm changing it to yellow. Let's see, guys, if it is working. And here we go. See that, everyone, guys? So initially it was red, but I made it yellow. But right now these things are not looking that effective. Why? Because we are still refreshing the page to execute the code. So guys, actually let's talk about event handling today, because I don't want you to go on off like this. I want you to go with some really cool thing here. Okay, so guys, what if I don't want to do it like this? What if I want a button to be there, and if I click on that button, then only the color should change to yellow? What if I want to do that? And for that purpose we need event. For that purpose we need event. So first of all, guys, let's try to understand what exactly is the event. So guys, see, event is nothing but whatever interaction you perform on a web page. A click, a double click, a drag, a selection, whatever interactions you perform using your mouse, keyboard, or touch is considered as an event. Is that clear? For example, I go on flipkart.com, okay, and I just hover on this. I just put my mouse on that. That's the event. I click here. This is also an event. I double click somewhere. That's also an event. I drag or slice or do not slice, select, whatever I do, that is what you call as an event. Whatever interaction you perform is called as an event. But now the problem is, the main thing is not the problem. The main thing is, fine. As a user, here we go. I'm performing an event. I'm clicking on this yellow div. But now what to do on that event? That's also very important, right? User is selecting this, performing the event. User is clicking on the page. User is clicking on this text. So user is performing the event. But now we need to do event handling. That means we need to tell our elements that whenever an event is performed on you, what to do. Is that clear, everyone? So that is what we call as event handling. Event is always getting performed. Any user can perform any event anywhere, but you need to handle it. You need to tell that event when this event is performed, what to do. Is that clear, everyone? Bhargav is asking why we need to change by using JS, why not HTML directly? See, Bhargav, when you do it with HTML, it happens on load. But what if you want to do something dynamically? Right? As I said, you go here, everything is normal. But when you hover on this, when you move your mouse on this, see, suddenly this element appears. From where that is happening? Someone is doing that, right? Now, is someone sitting somewhere writing code for us? Okay, let's quickly add some HTML code to add this because Saurabh is right now hovering on that. No, right? When I hover on it, I need to make this dynamically. That's what JS is going to do. Is that clear? So that's what we are also learning, how to do things dynamically. Okay, I hope it is cleared, Bhargav. So whatever I write with HTML, it's fixed, it's done. But what if you want to change it on the go while running dynamically? Because if you want to change it, you have to again go in the code and do something, right? Okay, guys, so let's do it. Let's see how to perform event handling. For that, first of all, you need to create a function. Guys, a function is nothing but a block of code which doesn't execute by default. and it has a name. Simple. So function, let me call it do something. So let's give it a name, do something. Okay. And now then, let's put this code inside this function. Now, since it is a function, the code will not execute by default. So let's say, here we go. Not executing by default now. See, nothing is happening on refresh because right now this code is inside this function. Now, whenever I call this function, then only this code will execute. Now it's up to me when I want to call this function. So let's say I want to call this function when someone clicks on this button. So let's have a button called as click, right? Now when someone clicks on this button, then I want to call this function, and when this function is called, this code will execute. How to do that? Very simple. Just go on that button. There's an attribute called as on click, and then just take that function name and put it here, and don't forget the brackets. That's how a function call is. See guys, I'm assuming that you guys know a little bit of basic programming. That's why I'm just doing this, because in 3 days if I start doing basic programming, I'll never be able to teach you DOM manipulation. So please, please, please guys, brush up your basic programming skills so that you can understand all of them easily. I'm assuming that you know basic programming. Okay, that's it. So I have a function. Inside that I have this code. Now this function will not execute by default. Now I'm saying, fine, function, I want you to get called when I click on this button. And that's it. When I click on this button, this function will be called. And as soon as this function is called, this code inside that function will execute. And now let's see. See, by default red, doing nothing. Now let's click on that button. Here we go. See. Now right now it's a very simple task, making an element yellow. But it's not the main thing, right? We can do anything. Now remember that Geeks for Geek example. We clicked on the sign in button and a pop-up appeared. We can do that. I can click anywhere. I can generate anything. I can do literally anything now. It is merely changing of color, but this is not the main thing. We can change content, we can improve content, we can add content, we can remove content, we can add element, remove element, we can do anything we want. This is only one example of what we can do and how powerful JavaScript is. And now it's up to me, right? I can do anything. Instead of only changing the color, I can also change its width, right? Why not? Let's say width 300 pixel. Initially it is 200. Let me make it 300. Now see, red, click, see, it became 300 and also yellow, right? I can also add a transition so that it happens slowly. I can go here and add a transition. So transition of 0.3 seconds. So whatever changes happen, they will happen slow. So let's do that. See now, click. See that? A little animated, right? See that, guys? How to do if we hover cursor on this element? On this element? Very simple. There's one more event. See, on click is one event. Click event. Now I need a different event because now I don't want to do it on click. I want to do it on hover when I keep my mouse on it. But also, I'm not doing it on button now. I'm going to do it on this div. Correct? So first of all, you need to identify where are you performing the event? What event are you performing? So now, as you said, Harsh, I want to hover on this element and then I want to make it big. So first of all, this element is what? My div, right? That means I'm going to perform my event on this div. Second, what kind of event it will be? Because it's not click. You said hover. So what is the event for that? So it is on mouse up, or over will also work. But in this case, you can say on, not on mouse up, just say on mouse over. Yep, that will work actually. On mouse over equals do something. Just call this function. Let's see if it is working now. Here we go. See that? Just when I put my mouse on it, it works. Now I'm not clicking anymore. That's it. So it's totally up to us. Place holder करके भी कुछ होता है क्या सर? हाँ, place holder. It's an input attribute, right? It's an input attribute. So guys, are we cleared? This is the basic of DOM manipulation. Very basic. Now tomorrow we'll just go a little more in depth. We'll see how to create elements dynamically. We'll see how to work more with events, right? We'll see how to manipulate attributes, because today we only learned how to manipulate content and CSS, but we also want to manipulate attributes. So I'm going to show you a few things. Tomorrow we'll also make something very small. And then on the last day, as you guys said, calculator, a complete calculator, right? So everyone, are we cleared with all the things today? Now we know what is JavaScript is, right? And now we know how to select the element. Document.query selector, whatever you want to mention class ID or tag name, and then dot inner text to manipulate the textual content, dot inner HTML to put some textual content plus HTML, and then you also have dot style dot any CSS property you want to manipulate the CSS. And then you can also put code inside function so that it doesn't execute by default, and then you can call that function on events like on mouse over, on click, all that stuff. Okay guys, so these were the basics of DOM manipulation. Now tomorrow we'll go a little more in deep and we'll talk about creating elements, manipulating attributes, and we will also make something. And on last day we'll just make what? A calculator. Think of something else as well. Why not? You guys can suggest me something else tomorrow. We'll also make that thing as well. But only one project. So either calculator, if you give me one more suggestion tomorrow, we'll also try to make that as well. Sir, can I delay in changes? Yes, obviously you can do that. Facts and code. Yes, it's completely possible. Sir, what is next JavaScript? It is next JS actually. Yes, JS is JavaScript only, but yeah, we call it as next JS. It's again like a library which is built on top of React. So React is a framework or a library of JavaScript. Next is also a library of JavaScript which is built on top of React. It helps React to become much better. It's basically that. It's a JS library again. Sir, one calendar project also to show date and time. Let's see how much we can do. Let's see, Subhasis. Let's see, buddy. We have only 3 days, so one day is done today. I've already extended it 15 minutes, but now tomorrow and then day after tomorrow, and then we'll end. And guys, please, everyone, this is only just scratching the surface. If you want to learn everything like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Node.js, MongoDB, React, Angular, Vue, and by building 15 plus projects like Instagram, Netflix, and all of that, basically, if you want to become a full stack developer, you can just go to LetsUpgrade.in, check out our courses where I'll be teaching you complete full stack web development. By the end of the course, you'll be a certified full stack developer ready to make anything like Facebook or Instagram. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone. No assignments for today as we have not done a lot of things. Tomorrow, I'll definitely give you assignment. And yes, Logeshwaran, thank you so much. So, guys, there is a very important question here. Logeshwaran is asking, sir, what is the difference between frameworks, library, and IDE? So fine, see, first of all, I'll start with IDE. IDE is the full form of IDE is Integrated Development Environment. That is your VS Code, or your if you've heard of Eclipse, or you've heard of NetBeans. So basically, an environment where you can write code and execute it, compile it, interpret it, all that stuff. That is what an IDE is. So don't confuse IDE with framework. IDE is simply what? An integrated development environment. It's a development environment where you can write code, execute, debug, all that stuff. That's a IDE. Okay. Now, framework and library. Okay. So see, first of all, you know that you have functions, right? So when you write code, is Node just an IDE? No, 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 no. It's a runtime environment. It's not an IDE. IDE is a combination of runtime environment and the development environment. Okay. Node.js is only runtime. The whole job of Node.js is to run JavaScript. That's all. Okay. Kind of, you can say that it's kind of an IDE, but it's not actually an IDE. It's a runtime. It's mostly a runtime environment. Okay. Now about library and framework, guys. Now see, when you write code, you create a lot of functions, a lot of functionalities, right? Now you know that you write a lot of functionalities. Now sometime you might use some functionalities a lot in different projects. So what you can do is you can create a file of those functionalities, okay, so that you can share this file to anyone and you can use it and anyone can use those functions. So that collection of functions, that collection of commonly used functions can be considered as a library. Simple. A library can be considered as a collection of functions or collection of multiple pages of functions or multiple files which have functions. That's what a library is, containing some utility functions. Like let's say you create add, subtract, multiply, divide, 4 functions, and you know that the whole world is going to use it. So you create a file in which you put all those 4 functions. You create one more file in which you put some other mathematical functions you created, and then you just provide those files to everyone in the world so that they can also attach that file in their project and use those functions directly without writing them. So that is what a library is. Simply a collection of modules and functions. Simple. Now, what is a framework? A framework is like a structure of a project. A framework contains libraries plus a lot of code. It is complete structure of something. That is what a framework is. Okay. So, like, let's say for example, Angular, it's a framework. So it, when you install Angular, it comes with the basic setup of your project, all the basic libraries that it needs, all the basic endpoints that it needs, all the basic functionality that is they're already there, and you can also start coding in there. So it's a complete setup of a big project. That is what a framework is. A library is simply a collection of modules and functions related to something. So like Express, it's a library. It has functionalities that will help you to work with APIs, right? FS, it's a library. It will help you to work with file system modules, right? A framework is like a big thing. It's like a project setup. Is it cleared, Logeshwaran? An IDE is like an integrated development environment where you can basically install libraries, install frameworks, write code and run them, debug them, all that stuff. So it means you can edit framework, but why not? At the end, they're all code. Harshi, buddy. At the end, framework, library, all of them are codes. You can manipulate them, definitely. Why not? Definitely. If you download them, they are at the end code only, right? You can manipulate them. Think of it like this: function, a module is a collection of functions, a library is a collection of modules, and a framework is a collection of libraries, and also a lot of different things. This is one level you can understand the hierarchy. Function, a module is a collection of functions, like let's say calculator module contains all the functions related to calculation. String module contain all the functions related to strings. Math module contains all the functions related to math, right? Then let's say I create a utility module, a utility library. Then inside the utility library, I put all these 3 modules and I export it so that everyone in this world can use it. Now let's say I say a framework. So a framework is like a project setup where I need this utility library. So I install it in my project, right? So that is how it goes. The levels, simple. Okay, everyone. Yes, Dubair, go ahead and ask. Go ahead and ask. And see, guys, it's like a only 1 hour session, so we don't have that much time where I can explain you like by drawing diagrams and all that stuff, because we are intending to learn JS DOM manipulation. So don't worry. Once you're with me, once you join the course, or maybe in some other essential courses where we have big days, I will actually teach you how to create your own libraries, how to create your own framework. So don't worry about that as well. Is that cleared? No need to worry about that as well. Okay. Right now we don't have a lot of time, so that's why I just did it a little fast. Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. I really, really hope that you guys enjoyed this session. So please let me know in the chat, everyone. Please let me know. By using JS, we can change anything. Yes, anything on the web, you can change it. Okay. Sir, what is the difference between runtime environment and IDE? See, runtime environment is like an environment for running. That's it, for executing. IDE is like an environment for running as well as developing as well as debugging, all that stuff. Is that cleared? Like VS Code, it's a IDE. It helps you with everything: running code, writing code, all that stuff, right? Auto completion, code checking, error checking, all that stuff. This is IDE. Debugging. Node.js is like a runtime environment. The only job of Node.js is to run JavaScript. It helps you to run JavaScript, and your VS Code will use Node.js to run your JavaScript as well. So IDE is like a development environment, and runtime environment is something like just something that helps you to run code. That's all. Execute code. Okay. So that's it, guys. Please tell me how to write perfect values in script tag. Perfect values, you mean, what do you mean by that? Like how to write good code inside script? That? Then definitely we're going to learn it. Don't worry. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I'm going to teach you everything how to write code inside this. Yes, yes, Turikaran. That is what JBM is. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's it, everyone. Thank you so much. Now I'll see all of you tomorrow exactly at 6:30. And so sorry if I have missed any of the questions because there were a lot of questions going on. So sorry if I have missed anything, but you can again ask any question tomorrow and I'll answer all of it. Like I'll answer as much as like whatever is possible. Okay. So I'll see all of you at 6:30 tomorrow. I hope everyone will join. Okay. And if you guys want to connect with me, how can I share my LinkedIn and Instagram here? So I can share it here. Okay. So I'll write down in the chat. Wait, if you want to connect with me, I'll give you my LinkedIn. Actually, I prepared the links. Okay, now I'm not signed up. So I'll give it to you tomorrow. I'm not signed up right now. Okay. So no need to worry about that. Okay. So that's it, guys. Tomorrow I'll also give you my links where you can join me, connect me, and ask your doubts as well if you want. Tomorrow I'll give all the links. So I really, really hope that you guys will join tomorrow as well because tomorrow is very important because we'll talk about events, we'll learn more about events, we'll talk about creating elements and all that stuff. Yes, definitely, facts and code. I'll tell you how to delay changes of JavaScript. I'll do that. I'll teach you how to do it. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, friends, everyone. Bye bye. I'll see all of you tomorrow. Have a great day. Have a great night. Bye bye, everyone.